All right, everybody, good day. Welcome back to The Interception. It's been a while, but we're back with another big interview. A familiar face here, Mr. Merere Gonzales, a man with many titles. So he's the SSFL president, TTFA Safeguarding Lead Officer, former FIFA assistant referee. The list goes on. Right, and he's here today to speak about the issue of safeguarding. So it is very fitting that he is, the safeguarding lead officer for the TTFA and the FIFA Guardian Safeguarding Programme. So we'll get straight into it. First of all, Mr. Gonzales, before we ask about the program itself, could you define safeguarding for us?
You certainly. Thanks very much for having me on your very esteemed media entity, Interceptors. It's always a privilege and an honor, and I'm thankful for that. Safeguarding connotates in itself exactly what the words mean. Guarding, safety about guarding who? So safeguarding in its context is the creation of the environment by which it is placed and positioned where there is safety, protection of the vulnerable ones, the minors, the youths, so as to avoid them from getting any hurt, harm, or injury by perpetrators or predators on the outside. So it's basically about ensuring that the environment is there for these persons to be protected by unscrupulous individuals.
Okay, and of course, this is related to football. So does this encompass on and off the pitch, or is it more focused?
Oh, yes, certainly. As a matter of fact, safeguarding starts from off the pitch, even before you go onto the field. And it does not pertain only to football, it pertains to all sports. Mm-hmm. However, because we are involved in football, as we are chatting now, and I want to really credit FIFA for about a couple of years ago establishing this critically and crucial area that has become of paramount importance in the existence and the continued advancement of football with the minors, with the youths, and the vulnerable ones. And when I speak about vulnerable ones, like for example, those who may be challenged, physically challenged and otherwise, that they could become victims if we don't also create the environment to protect them. Credit and kudos must also be extended to Gary Sindros, who actually is the point person acting in the role as the TTFA manager, safeguarding manager, player care and well-being. And he has been doing a tremendously fantastic job in that we have been able over the year and a half to complete courses level 1, where over about 1,600 to 1,700 persons have already done the level 1. Some have already started the level 2. As a matter of fact, earlier on this week, a level 2 was done, and there were about 102 persons in attendance. With that being said, there's over 160 academies, clubs that have already been licensed, and the intention is to continue to promote, to advocate, to advance the policies, the aims, the objective of what safeguarding is about. And after having done all the necessary paperwork in the background, now we are using and requesting the assistance of the media entities like your establishment to promote it so that Trinidad Tobago and the wider world will be aware of it.
Okay. So, well, regarding the Guardian Safeguarding Programme, they gave some insight onto it there. But how exactly can people get involved in it? How did Trinidad and who get involved in it? Of course, Trinidad and Tobago is a member of FIFA, obviously. And so how did we decide to now adopt this program, and how could individuals get involved?
Very well. As long as you're a member of FIFA, which is 200 plus member association, 211, of which TTFA, as you quite rightly said, is a member, you must do the program.
Oh,
Must.
okay.
It's a must, M-U-S-T. And while I would have mentioned we are involved in football, it spreads against across many other sporting disciplines.
Right.
The tennis that you are very much involved in, badminton, karate, swimming, cricket, hockey, you just name it. However, with that being said, FIFA, as I said a couple of years ago, in establishing it, what they have discovered based on research and evidence before them is that there has been a lot of exploitation, verbal and other types of abuse, physical, sexual, etc., on players, and the intention, and which I'm very heartened by, FIFA now putting a system in place to put checks and balances to ensure that the persons who are now coming on board or who are on board interacting with players, and again I'm referring to the three, the vulnerable ones, the minors and the youths, not that it is not there for adults too, yes it is for everyone, that in putting this program and the system in place, then every single coach, manager, physio, trainer, referees too, that interact with players, whether adult players or in this case for the SSFL student athletes, then they must do the safeguarding level 1 course as a start. All the clubs, all the academies, and even as we know in the schools too, all of them must also be sanctioned by the TTFA. With that, having said that, all the clubs and academies must be licensed, and in the ecosystem that we have now and the environment is to ensure that every single individual connected either through the academy or club or the individuals who are coming on as coaches, then they must do the safeguarding course as a way of being certified and being sanctioned by the TTFA. So for example, we would have started it last year, and when I say we, in the case of the SSFL, which we are a target figure, a prime one. Why? Because we have over 100 plus schools on an annual basis that play under the auspices of the SSFL. With that 100 plus schools, there are about 8,000 players, and all of them, with the exception of a few, maybe 98% are under 18 years of age. The others will find themselves just above that because of the age group that we accommodate. So therefore, with us being in a very prime position, it is imperative and necessary that the SSFL is on board, which we are on board, to ensure that we continuously assure the public at large, the parents, the guardians, that this is critically important as a protective measure for their charges. But I just want to add to Leo that I would like to repeat this categorically clear. For the parents and the guardians, you are strongly, once again, advised that do due diligence by ensuring that you check carefully, meticulously on the various clubs or academies that they have existing before you register your child in it. If you have been following the media quite recently under the correspondence coming from the TTFA, a couple letters have been forwarded to the public indicating that there are some individuals who have not been sanctioned by the TTFA. They have not actually come in and have done any of the safeguarding courses. So presently they are existing as an unauthorized entity under the umbrella of TTFA that is responsible for football. So therefore, TTFA is advising, as we are also advising, all parents and guardians, please ensure that it is a certified academy or club, and the persons who are interacting, in this case, coaches, managers, physios, etc., with your charges or your children, that they also are certified and qualified. No, it is not that it will totally eradicate unscrupulous acts, but what it will do, it will minimize it, hopefully to the point of eventually reaching the stage of getting persons' mindset to change and understand that we should at all point in time create a very safe environment for any player who wishes to take part in this number one most popular sporting discipline in the world, which is football. There should be that system in place to make sure that no harm, injury, pain, or hurt comes to them when they come into the game of football to enjoy while they're playing it.
Absolutely. And one more question for you. I think you kind of touched on it there, but I want to ask, how do you see this raising the standard of football in Trinidad and Tobago? Now, of course, this is not going to improve a player's skill or their football IQ or anything, but it's still a major part of the game in terms of the whole footballing sphere and sport, as you said, in Trinidad and Tobago. So how do you see this program and this whole idea of safeguarding and making it a priority, raising the standard of, well, we'll speak specifically to football in Trinidad at all levels, because you said it's from bottom straight up.
It's a statement that goes like this: what goes around comes around, and therefore what you give is what you will get. So if we give respect, we get respect back in return. You give love, you get love back in return. You give hate, hate will also return. So if those who are in authority like ourselves, the administrative arm, ensure that the environment and the platform, for example, the field conditions, are well conducive and ready and available for players to play on, it means that we are showing them the respect from the start, so that they are more concerned about just coming and play the game of football. But if they are coming to play a match and there are no dressing rooms, which is really dangerous, because they need to change, they need to bathe, right? Especially for females too, right? Then it means that there's a lack of professionalism, there's a lack of respect. A ground that is not prepared properly, undulating, can cause real serious injuries. So while we may not be there, as in the case of a coach, to teach the tactical and the technical aspect of the game, the other areas that are more important with providing that safe environment for the players to exist and coexist in the game of football, then as long as we continue to ensure that the predators, the perpetrators, those who are there specifically to groom with the expectation to exploit, as long as players' mindset is comfortable, then they'll be able to more focus on playing the game of football rather than be concerned about the abuse that may come from a coach, because coaches speaking to players in a particular way can actually encourage them to stay in the game of football or to leave. Even with referees, I mean, we have a situation right now is being addressed with the way referees speak to players. Again, I'm saying it, what goes around comes around. So if you give the respect, it comes back in return. And it's all about every stakeholder, the administrators, the coaches, the players, the match officials, and the fans, understanding if we collaborate in an amiable and amicable way, then the players, by extension, of which they are the number one and main product. We are doing all of what we are doing is for them, so that when they go onto the field of play, then they'll be able to give their very best. Why? Because, Leo, nobody really comes into a stadium to see administrators,
True.
to see coaches, to see trainers, to see referees. They come to see the players because the players are the ones who go to display the gift of their God-given talents on the field. And that is where the enjoyment comes. So using an acronym SEE that we have used for a number of years in refereeing, and we still continue to, S is for safety. The first E is for equality, and the other E is enjoyment. So when there's a safe environment, and there's equality for the both teams and all players, and there is enjoyment, then you are encompassing and there's actually the inclusion of a full package. It comes like you're preparing for a movie, and all the work is being done before by the director and the producers and the actors, and all you're saying now is action or camera and action, and if you clip, the game begins on the field. That's what we are preparing. All our work and our effort is to ensure that that is done.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Gonzales, thanks a lot for that. Was very insightful. And
if I may add just one other crucial area.
Yeah.
And again, credit must be given to the TTFA, again led by Mr. Gary St. Rose as the safeguarding manager, player care and well-being. They have created what we call the safeguarding framework and the policy and framework. FIFA a couple of weeks ago came and was present to the launch of the safeguarding Trinidad Tobago at Hilton Hotel, and they were exceptionally impressed by the quality of work done by the TTFA. And in that launch, not only were persons in football there to receive their certificates, but persons from the other different sporting disciplines under the TTOC, which is the Trinidad Tobago Olympic Committee. But more importantly too, is that the present policy and framework is being used as a template for the rest of the world to follow. So impressed is FIFA on what we have been doing. And with that being said, it means also that persons who fail to adhere, to respond to the rules and regulations, and there's any breaching of them, I'll just give an example. In Section 4, Article 5, Paragraph 6, in one of the statutes, it indicates categorically clear that if you are on an unauthorized individual, not receiving any sanction, or certificate of safeguarding, then you run the risk of being charged $5,000, and you could also be banned for 5 years. Okay?
Yeah.
Also too, if the academy or the club fails to be registered and licensed, then they can also receive a fine of $10,000 and a ban of 5 years. So we are encouraging Trinidad and Tobago, all entities that are interested in football, regularly there are safeguarding workshops and courses being held in different parts of the country, if not at the home of football. As a matter of fact, as I would have indicated, just level 2 was done a couple of days ago, and 102 persons doing it. So we are very encouraged by the positive response. But we would like every single person to be on board to make sure that we'll leave no stone unturned to ensure that all expected persons in the game of football should make sure that they cover and do the safeguarding courses that are there for their exposure. And if I just want to reiterate about the Republic Bank National Youth Football Tournament that is going on now, every single entity involved in it are certified and qualified, including the referees. Otherwise, if you are not authorized by TTFA and licensed as a club, and if you're not certified with having your certificate in the safeguarding, then you would not have been considered as someone or some entity to be part of the Republic Bank National Youth Football League for 2024. So it's a very serious matter. And again, safeguarding is everybody's business, because it is about ensuring, again, that we advance, we promote, to have the environment and the platform so that these youths and minors and vulnerable ones could have a safe environment and a safe setting and a safe space. There could be protection involved, so that no harm, no danger, no hurt, no pain, no injury could come to them from any unscrupulous act by these perpetrators or predators, knowing that there are other aspects of the safeguarding, like making sure that there are proper dressing rooms and fields properly marked and prepared to ensure the overall execution of the skills of these players when they come on the field.
Yeah, most definitely. And from what you're saying, it really, you saying what that response and addition you just gave further solidifies my view on how it will indeed raise the, the standard of football in Trinidad and Tobago at to some extent, or to a great extent. So thanks a lot for that information, insight, and thanks for your time as well for coming out and allowing us to speak about such a major topic. So yeah, and that brings us to the end of the interview.
Thank you very much for having me on your very, as I said, very valuable, meaningful, and positive entity, Interceptors. I want to encourage you to continue doing the fantastic work that you're doing, because the world, inclusive of Trinidad and Tobago, is always ready and standby for the information that you can convey to them. Thanks for this platform to share.
Yeah, thanks. And on behalf of the team, thanks again for your time.
Certainly, and do enjoy the rest of this Easter Triduum, as well as the Shelter Spiritual Baptist Liberation Day today as we celebrate it. All the best. God bless.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for sliding into another episode of The Interception. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. We out.